Hello, welcome to the Alternative Review, the place of the youth with the truth, where we prefer pies over lies, where we prefer the logic before the chronic, we prefer the. No, that'll do.
Yeah, I think you've nailed it there, like.
That'll do. The Alternative Review. So this week, in a surprising turn of events, Ollie has done zero preparation. In a not so surprising turn of events, we still have the most unrepresentative ratings on the internet.
Doesn't get much better than this, folks.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Pretty good.
I should actually interject here with a little apology. Because something went wrong with the recording of the last podcast. So not only have we been gone for 1 week, we've actually been gone for 2 weeks. Because we've been missing for 2 weekends worth of episodes. So
If only we had a computer system strong enough to calculate the amount of our viewers that were upset by that.
Yeah.
I don't think one exists.
No.
Katia might have been a little bit disappointed, possibly.
She was gutted.
Alright.
Did you watch it?
No. Well, she said she doesn't like watching it because can't remember the reason
She
she
swear
said
too
now.
much.
I think it's, no. I can't remember. Well, we don't really, do we? Do we?
No, I was
Oh, right.
joking. It was ironic. I don't think we've ever sworn.
Well, she likes listening to me talk on it now, for example, in another room.
Right.
But she's not gone as far as to actually sit down and listen to an episode yet. Does any of you guys know watch it?
No.
My dad's watched like one episode.
Oh, what did he think? Did he love it? He like this son is the best thing I've ever seen.
He just came out thinking that Ollie was a dimwit because he like every topic that comes up he goes, I'm gonna be honest, I haven't really looked into this topic.
Well, that makes me feel amazing.
Well,
I've been
that
having
is what you put across, mate. You've done it again as well this episode, to be fair.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
I lull
you are
people
pretty
into a false sense
consistent.
of security.
Alright.
Yeah.
Consistency is in my strong suits, I would say. Thank you very much for that compliment there, Adam.
It's no problem, mate.
Making me
Anytime.
feel secure again.
I've been having a great chat with your dad, actually, Jake, as he told you.
Yeah.
Has he? Oh.
He hasn't told us anything. Well, no, he did tell us one thing that you said.
Oh,
But
really?
he was saying that like he's having a hard time because he's not that much of a debater. You know what I mean?
I did. Yeah, I can kind of see. Well, my
Oh,
thing
yeah.
was that when I was talking to him, originally it was just kind of like I wanted to know his view. That was it.
Uh-huh.
Like I've asked a lot of people, and then when I was talking to him, I kind of realized that like I have no idea what Mark means by this. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, it was just very hard for me. I'm not saying it was a bad debater. I'm saying, like, he has a view that is totally foreign to my understanding of how you'd interpret some of the script. Anyway, shall we talk about the news?
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Right. Let's talk.
What
about
happened?
One thing. Oh, sorry.
No, you go ahead, babe.
That should be the name for our introductory, like, sort of big opening news segment. Is what happened?
Yeah.
Just not what happened this week. Just what happened.
It sounds like
Bam.
we're a bunch of. When you do the intro, it starts off sounding like we're a bunch of inner city impoverished kids, Ollie.
Forming a
Alright,
rap
today
group.
we're going to talk about the news. What do you think? A new mixtape from Kendrick Lamar. Oh, man. Oh, but anyway, North Korea fired another missile, didn't they?
Oh,
Clinton
big
fired
surprise.
another.
They fired another one.
Oh, yeah. They
Well,
fired
after-
a
was this-
UOS.
Recently.
Oh, right. Where?
Do you know what?
Same place.
Whenever North Korea fire another missile, what it reminds me of is back at Scouts when we used to make bottle rockets and shoot them into the field next door.
Yeah. It is getting that way now. They've done it in the exact same place, have they?
Yeah.
So it's basically like, pew! Hey, stop it. Woo! Hey, stop it!
I've got a alternative perspective on this.
Well, it's fitting.
I have long believed that the North Korean people were hiding something, right? What if, now bear with me, what if they knew exactly where Godzilla was going to come out of the water and they are trying to stop him before he stops Japan?
You could be.
What if they're
something there.
desperately trying to
North
save
Korea
Japan?
were actually secretly the saviors of the world. The reason they're so reclusive in their mission to save the world is that they realise that the rest of the world is too incompetent to actually follow through with it. They would just be bickering about everything. So North Korea are like, we're just so above this. Let's sort it out ourselves. And they've been the defenders of planet Earth for the last few hundred years.
And we're all making fun of them, but they're off there going, we know what really happened out there in the ocean. Or however they say.
Oh,
However
it's German.
they speak.
You don't have to pat us on the back.
happened out there.
We
You
know
don't
what
have to
really happened.
pat us on the backs because all of our slaves will do it for us.
Yeah. Gosh. Can you imagine if that was true, if we could say Kim Jong was a hero? Doesn't that feel bizarre?
Yeah. It would be.
Not to Kim Jong-un.
I mean, just wait for the day that that a bunch of like Korean Chinooks just go flying across and lift a massive Godzilla corpse out of the coast of Japan.
Yeah. The whole world is silenced.
Yeah.
But they were Kim Jong Un just goes, "You're welcome." What else happened other than the huge storms and stuff?
There was.
There was the big storms. We already sort of spoke about those a bit though, didn't we? Actually.
Talk about one of them. Yeah. Have you seen this? Like, there's been 2 to hit, hasn't there?
What's that?
There's been 2 hurricanes hit America. But there's one more forming that might possibly form, and then there's another one behind that might possibly form. Have you guys seen that? Yeah, it's on the map. Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen there's 3, isn't there? Jose, Maria, and Lee are what they're called, and they're all coming after the same spot, the same few islands.
Right. Yeah. Pretty terrifying that, like, isn't it?
Hurricane Jose.
I've got a question for you guys.
Go on in.
Why hurricanes?
Like, why is it happening?
Yeah.
Well.
And don't tell me like, the Gulf Stream allows heat and pressure to rise.
No, I was gonna say we did just find an article on 5 Christian leaders' responses to natural disasters. So I feel like I can
Enlighten
tell you what
me.
Reverend Billy Graham said.
What? Really? Billy Graham
Yeah.
was one. Oh, go on. Let me know.
So Billy
Enlighten
Graham
me.
said, God certainly can use natural disasters to speak to us, just as he can use other difficulties and tragedies to turn our hearts towards him. Disasters can also remind us of our need to help others and not just be concerned about ourselves and our problems. Not long after Hurricane Katrina devastated large parts of New Orleans, my son Franklin and I visited the affected area. Excuse me. Recovering from a sore throat.
I thought you were going to say you're getting choked up.
No. I visited the affected area. I will never forget the way that disaster brought people from different backgrounds together, especially in the churches. The Bible says, carry each other's burdens, and in this way you will fulfill the law of Christ.
Jake, you're getting a bit of echo on your mic. I don't know where that's coming from.
I think it's Ollie. Ollie?
Mm.
Did you...
I'll check my levels, yeah.
So, it's very interesting that Billy Graham uses the term. This just opens up a whole different thing. Billy Graham used the term, God can use hurricanes to do something, right?
Yep.
As in, kind of implying the hurricane was there and God used it, the aftermath of it, for his own advantage, right? Would you say that's what he was saying?
Yeah.
Could be, yeah.
So is he saying God had no control over the hurricane?
No.
I don't know. He could...
Again, it's control doesn't come into it, I don't think.
What do you guys think about the idea that God uses hurricanes to punish sinful nations or to try and encourage repentance and show people how powerful he is. That he can even make something as powerful as a hurricane.
I don't think anyone who's powerful. It's like anyone who's skilled at something, anyone that's good at something, anyone that's got a certain amount of merit. They don't need to try and convince people that that's the case. I don't feel like that. I mean, that doesn't seem to be consistent with my understanding of God's nature.
I think.
What do you think, Jake?
I think potentially he could.
I think he has done in the past. He's used natural disasters and things like that, but I don't think he would do it these days.
But they still happen.
Yeah. We abuse the planet on a daily basis.
Here we go. This left, always far liberal ideology again, creeping in.
Somebody tells us.
Oh,
that's
you're gonna
not the
tell
case.
me? No. Gosh, we abuse the planet, blah, blah, blah. Plants are our friends.
Well, it's kind of like he could do it, but then
He could. I just don't think he would.
there's no reason to say that he has done it in this particular situation. It kind of
You've got no, yeah.
It makes
You've got
us
no
think-
way of
Sorry, go on.
verifying that he. You've got no way of verifying that he has. I mean, that's a good point as well. But given the context of the Gospels and that we live post Gospels, I don't think it's consistent that God would do that.
God's nature hasn't changed in the Gospels, though.
Well, no, his nature hasn't changed.
But his interaction with us has, though.
Yeah, exactly, on a massive scale.
You think so?
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure it has.
Okay.
That's the point.
Like when you're a kid, if you've got like a son, the way that you interact with him changes over time. And it doesn't mean that you're changing in that way. Right? Like you're the same person, but the way that you interact with your child is different.
But there's definitely a correlation between sinful nations and natural disasters, for sure.
Is there?
I would absolutely say so.
Yeah, but you've got to make sure you're not that you're not sort of presuming a cause and effect thing going on there. You know, I think you're leaving yourself open to fallacy. You jump to conclusions from that. There may well be a correlation. I could quite easily say though that nations are more sinful because they have more natural disasters.
It makes me think of that story in Isaiah, where Isaiah's standing on the mountaintop, looking for the Lord coming by, and there's a great wind, and he's not in the wind, and there's a massive fire tornado. He's not in the fire tornado.
He's the still silent voice, the still quiet voice even.
He's in the silence.
Hmm.
I don't really know if that has any bearing.
Yeah, I mean,
But-
when I hear that, I think that's describing the way God would rather sort of interact with us. I think that's
But I just think in the Bible you see I mean, it's good that we're disagreeing on some issues because usually we all go, "Oh yeah, I agree," and then we move on to the next thing.
Yeah.
But I mean, I just see a consistency in Scripture. Israelites sinned,
yeah.
and then God punishes them to show them His power and their sinfulness, right? And it's the same like Israelites sin, God sends Babylon. Israel sins, God, they are enslaved in Egypt. Israel sins, even after Jesus came. Israel sins, Jerusalem in 70 AD, completely flattened. God prophesied it would happen because they didn't welcome him, Jesus, when he came, right? I'm just saying, is it not possible that God could still do that today? He's still all powerful.
I don't know.
He still
I don't think it's
displays his
particularly
power.
consistent.
Because it's
Because-
like as well when Jesus is on the lake, not Lake Galilee. I want to say Lake Galilee all the time, but it's the Sea of Galilee. When Jesus is in the Sea of Galilee and the waves are going crazy, and he stops them, disciples' reaction is, "Who is this man that even the winds and the waves obey him?" That's like an acknowledgement of God's power. Who is this guy that he has power over the winds and the waves?
But again, though, the interesting thing about that is the way that his power is exercised through words. Like his power, actually, it's an interesting thing because he's not actually making a big display of power. It's just that all he has to do is speak and it happens. All he has to do is be that still, quiet voice, and it happens. So I think there's always this duality of opposites in the Bible, actually, and that's one of them. Is the fact that God can be so powerful, but actually so calm, often quiet, peaceful. I don't know, but I don't know. In the light of the Gospels, it just doesn't seem like that's the way that God wants to do things anymore.
Perhaps it's
But
a good time. Oh, go on.
I mean, I was just gonna say maybe there's a part in scripture, I can't remember what it was, where God promises he will crush any nation that rises up like Babylon did in its sinfulness. But doesn't that mean God still punishes nations today? If there is a point nations get to where they become so sinful God destroys them, like Rome, for example, doesn't that mean God is still punishing nations today? Doesn't that mean that natural disasters could be God extending his wrath?
Oh, I think it's certainly possible.
That's an old covenant, though, isn't it? Like,
I would argue that
I
particular
was under
carried
the
on.
impression there was a part in the Bible where God actually said that he wasn't going to do stuff like that anymore.
You're
I could be
thinking
wrong
about
on
where
that.
God promises he won't. Yeah, but here's the thing: God promises that he will never again destroy the earth with flood, with water, right? But he does promise he will destroy it with fire.
Yeah,
See what I mean?
yeah.
Like God is. I would say God never promises to. God never promises that natural disasters will stop. Obviously, and it's where are we willing to draw the line in his character? I think it would be consistent for God to display his power, to call people repentance using these horrible, huge disasters. If that makes sense, and there is a kind of. I mean, no, I'll leave it for now. If it comes up later, I'll bring it up.
right, perhaps it's a good time to tell you what some of these other pastors said.
All right, forget that. Like I was saying. No, I'm kidding. Carry on.
Right. Kirk Cameron said, "When he puts his power on display, it's never without
Kirk-
reason. There's a
Did you say
purpose."
Kirk Cameron?
Yes.
He's not a pastor. He's an actor.
Oh well. This he's on the list. I don't know. He's a Christian leader apparently.
Maybe he likes pasta.
Oh.
That's a broad definition right there for what a
Yeah.
Christian pastor is.
We've also got Katy Perry's opinion. She also likes pasta. Or is it Jennifer Lawrence? I think it's Mother Nature.
Katy Perry's dad is a pastor,
Yeah, that's true.
and he
we asked
also
her.
likes pasta.
Anyway, I will continue. When he
I'm
puts his
gonna get some
power on
pasta.
display, it's never without reason. There's a purpose. And we may not
Yeah.
always understand what that purpose is, but we know it's not random. And we know that weather is sent to cause us to respond to God in humility, awe, and repentance.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say. I agree with this guy.
I don't know. I don't think it's a very good tool to draw people to repentance. I don't know how many people these days are getting drawn into repentance by having their home destroyed by a hurricane.
I mean, that's a tough thing to estimate.
Quantify, yeah, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not seeing on the news,
How many people have taken shelters in churches during this time? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, but I mean, it's just a building. I don't think people are gonna. I mean, I
Yeah,
guess there's a higher chance of it. I guess of people becoming Christians if they take shelter in a building compared to if they don't. But no,
as you were, Jake.
I'm looking. I'm just trying to find. I don't recognize any of these last two names. Do you know Nancy Leigh Demos? Demos?
Nancy Leigh Demos.
Yeah.
No, I don't think so.
Or Nancy Lee Demos or something. Anyway, she said, God uses events that turn our world upside down to drive us to cling to Him. Sometimes it is just raw, naked faith. I can't see, I can't sense. I don't know how this will end. How will He solve it or fix it? I'm in some troubles right now that I don't know how God is going to resolve. So what do? You cling to God, who is our refuge, our strength, and our help. So those tsunamis, those floods, those typhoons, those storms, they remind us and drive us to Him, and they remind us that our only true security is found in Him. If you have placed your hope in things or people of this world, which all of us have to greater or lesser degrees, then you have reason to be fearful, because when the world gives way, all you have trusted and hoped in and found refuge in will be lost. It will be swept away. But if you've placed your hope in the eternal God, though all else around you gives way, then, when it is all said and done, you will still have intact your most precious and necessary possession.
That's interesting.
that only applies in a Christian context.
Yeah, of course.
So I mean, like, if you're not a Christian, then it's not really true.
It's still true, isn't it?
It's true in that like if something bad happens in a natural disaster to a Christian, it's like, yeah, it can draw them close to God.
Ollie, I think I'm seeing something happen here. So we're seeing the purpose in the natural disaster for non-Christians and Christians, in that non-Christians are called to repentance and to see God's power, and Christians are drawn to what Jake just said. If you're picking up what I'm throwing down.
What do you mean?
Like, Jake just talked about how in natural disasters are to try and show us that no matter what, the only thing we have left to hold on to is God. And if that is a purpose in natural disasters for believers, and then couldn't there be a purpose for non-believers in that it is the widespread repentance, or a call to repentance, and a
What
call to
about the
respect?
non-believers that get killed?
See, that's where it gets tough, I think. What do you think, Jake?
Well, I mean, I don't think that God skips over and underthinks the taking of somebody's life. You know, no one's gonna reach the end too early before they've been saved, if they're ever gonna be saved.
Sound like a Molinist.
I don't know what that means, mate. I'm sick of telling you. And I mean, I cannot argue more in this perspective if I don't know what the word means. Yeah.
A lot of what Len Craig says is sort of Molinist thinking.
Yeah, I know he's a Molinist. I don't know what it means though.
So, when it comes to the non-Christians who are killed, yeah, I don't think there is a simple answer. I definitely don't have one now, I don't think.
Well, I mean, I think it is simple. Everyone's got their time to go. And if God chooses to take someone at a particular time, then he's right to do that. By the means that he chooses to do it with. And yeah, as I say, he's not going to take someone who hasn't been saved yet. If had they survived, they would have gotten saved.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Yeah. Everything, it goes towards the same ultimate end, is what I'm saying. Like, it doesn't matter how someone goes or when they go, because he's not gonna let
Do
anyone.
what God does.
Yeah.
When it's
And now
time,
you sound
it's
like
time.
a Calvinist.
And at the end, the people who are in heaven are gonna be in heaven.
I think this kind of sidelines into Nabil Qureshi a little bit.
Yeah. Try and hold it together, Adam. Yeah, so
Well,
I suppose I'll announce, not that it needs announcing, because anyone who's listened to this probably knows already, that Nabil Qureshi, a well-known apologist and I guess you would call him a preacher and teacher, passed away from cancer that he's been struggling with for some time now.
Best part of a year, innit?
Yeah.
Maybe longer.
He's been documenting the whole thing, and he's had just scores and scores of people praying for him. But it was his time to go, and so he went.
One thing I was thinking about today is that, like, Nabil obviously died very young, which is tragic in and of itself. But it's absolutely incredible. He's probably one of the most blessed people, I think, in any generation, because like his ministry was so short, and yet think of how absolutely massive it went. Do you know what I mean? Like, I was praying for him, and I was like, I can't believe I'm praying for Nabil Qureshi in Wales right now. There are people praying for him in Indonesia and all these other places. Like, his ministry was huge. God blessed him so much. So much.
Yeah.
It was an honor, really, in many ways, because he was such a great example. He still is such a great example.
He, what was I going to say? Yeah, I remember the first time I saw Nabil Qureshi speaking very well. And I remember it made me cry the first time I saw him speaking when he was talking about, how how his parents didn't go to his wedding and stuff like that. And he was very much, one of the things that I respect so much about Nabil is the amount that he sacrificed for the truth. In Christianity, a huge importance and huge sort of sacredity is put upon the truth. It doesn't matter if it's useful to you or if it gets you in trouble. If it's true, it's true. And you just can't. You've just got to go with the truth every time, even if you don't like it. And I think Nabil was quite a challenging individual to most people on that, because he put his money where his mouth is.
Yeah, he did. He was all in, wasn't he? Absolutely all in. It was funny because I was thinking about, like, I only realized today really what a huge effect his ministry had on me personally, and all the amazing talks and all the things I've learned from watching him and stuff like that. Like, I still get my definition of the Trinity from Nabil. I still think of he's one what and three who's. He's one being,
I do.
three
I use that all the time.
Yeah. And like, I was thinking, how could I honor him? And I was like, well, I can't really call my firstborn son after him, because I can't have a white Welsh kid called Nabil. Nabil Butterworth. Isn't gonna work, is it?
That's pretty funny. You could. Why not?
Middle name.
Middle name. Yeah, even then, it's still a bit odd.
No.
Elijah Nabil Butterworth. Maybe. I'd have to ask the wife about it, though. But yeah, well, did you guys see Ravi Zacharias' statement about it?
Yeah.
I went on to Act 17 Apologetics on Facebook to find that and read that out right now. I found it, by the way. I'll read it out.
It's really, really powerful.
Yeah. So, Ravi Zacharias wrote, "Dear friends, many of you have already heard of the passing of Nabil Qureshi from his earthly sojourn into the arms of his Saviour. He took his last breath just past midday on Saturday, September 16th. I had just left Manila for my next stop, so it was past the midnight hour for me. I did not get the news till I was on the ground several hours later. Our loss is deep and our hearts heavy. Yes, we dreaded this moment, but it is here. Our Lord understands. Even he wept over Lazarus, knowing all along that he would raise him up. The pain of death is real. Even short farewells are painful. I have a flood of memories. I have posted an obituary on certain publications at their request. It is amazing that a life so brief had an impact so big. That is rare, and is a tribute to an amazing man. I will miss his voice on the phone saying, "Hello, Uncle." I will miss his memorable smile. Most importantly, I will miss watching him preach with an anointing that was rare. I will write more later, for now I just wanted to say how saddened we are by the loss of a fellow apologist whose powerful messages changed tens of thousands that heard him. Goodbye, my dear friend, I mourn your loss. I weep over a friendship that was so short. You taught me so much. You often asked me, after a message, "Uncle, how did I do?" My delight was great. Greater will be your delight, now as you ask the Lord your God, "Father, how did I do?" You will hear the divine accolade, "Well done, my child." I love you, Nabil. You will remain forever in my heart. See you soon, beloved friend. It is a very beautiful message, that.
What a wordsmith Ravi is, man.
Yeah.
I didn't know they were that close, actually.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, he worked for
He was in
RCIM.
Nazim, yeah.
Alright.
It's just that last bit is so beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, how great will it be when you ask the same question of God, man? Yeah.
Yeah, man. That's...
Well done.
But I was thinking, like, in our whole, like, in a regular lifetime, how many people will be able to say they did as much? You know what I mean?
Mm.
Like, if
I was
Nabil-
looking at all the stuff he'd accomplished academically as well.
Yeah.
I never even realised he had a medical degree before
Yeah.
he even got into the theology. That's
I
crazy.
didn't know that. That's
Yeah.
incredible.
He I was thinking about it as well. I remembered when I read that. I remembered Ravi talking about how obviously Ravi got saved because when he was in hospital after trying to commit suicide, a Christian visited him and gave him a Gideon's Bible. And Ravi was talking about how he kept in touch with that guy that gave him the Gideon's Bible. They were friends, good friends. And on the bloke's deathbed, he said to him, "You know, Ravi, some days I think that God just put me on this world for one reason only, that I would give you that Gideon's Bible that day."
Mm.
And I was thinking about it, and I remembered about how Nabil came to Christ through talking to David Wood. And I thought, obviously, Nabil had come through what looks like irredeemable circumstances. David Wood came through what looked like even more irredeemable circumstances. And David Wood came to Christ through a guy that he met in prison who also
Yeah.
was probably from quite irredeemable circumstances,
Yeah.
and was able to convince him of the truth. What I don't know, it's just an amazing the whole way that everything pans out is just a testament to how amazing God is, really.
Yeah, it's gonna say it's like God's beautiful tapestry, isn't it? That
Mm.
from the one side it looks chaotic and it doesn't make any sense and it looks
Mm.
ugly and wrong, and then on the other side is weaving this beautiful story.
Yeah. And then we think about ourselves, you know. If I think about the me, you know, just like, you know, less than 10 years ago, you know, if someone had told me I was going to be a Christian and know
Yeah.
Jesus Christ on a personal level, I would have thought that they were absolutely off their nut.
You know what? As well, in Judaism, there's this, like this. Obviously, not every Jew does it, but there's this saying, and when somebody who's innocent or a really, really good man dies, they say, "May his death atone for the sins of the nation." And you know, Nabil died in such a tragic way, and it really just reminded me of that. That like that even in this, God is using this because so many people wrote underneath when they announced Nabil had died. So many people wrote, "I read the Bible properly for the first time in 30 years tonight," and stuff like that. And
Yeah,
really-
I read that, yeah.
yeah, and like even me and Katia, like we just had this huge realization that God is the only thing that matters in this whole life. And I was like, it's amazing how God is using this now. Do you know what I mean? To do such a huge thing, and it's just really a beautiful tapestry in a way that we can't really understand in the same way.
Yeah, it makes us think about how it seems like unbelievers think that you only become a Christian if you're born up in a Christian family.
And
Like you learn it when you're a kid, and then you just refuse to let go of it as you grow older. And it just doesn't work like that. Like the majority of people who become Christian, like, are later conversions, much later on in their lives.
they're often the most passionate ones as well,
Yeah.
because they realise what they've been redeemed from.
One thing that was really have you guys seen the Bible verse that's gone around the most with Nabil?
I might have done.
So it's the first time it's not the first time I've ever read it, but it's the first time I've ever thought about it.
I think I might have seen this.
It's we mourn. I'm trying to find the actual. There it is. It just really sums up the whole thing. 1 Thessalonians 4:3. Brothers and sisters, we do not want you to be uninformed about those who sleep in death, so that you do not grieve like the rest of mankind who have no hope. And it's been briefed to we mourn, but not with like those who have no hope. And I think that is such a good way to sum it up. You know what I mean? That tweet as well. You remember that tweet I showed you guys? That was really cool, wasn't it? That woman. She
Yeah.
actually. The reason
She works
actually,
for
by the way,
Azim.
yeah, she does. She works for Rabbi Zacharias International Ministries, and she said she had a dream, and she didn't know Nabil had died. She had a dream saying that she could see him smiling with Jesus waving at her, and then she woke up and got the news that he had died, and then she realized that it wasn't a dream, basically. And I just think that is so beautiful, and it's so, considering Nabil Qureshi's testimony as well, that Jesus came to him in a dream and stuff. I just think it's such a beautiful. It's a beautiful tapestry. Do you know what I mean?
I was saying before to Adam before we started that I don't feel like I haven't reacted to Nabil in the same way that you guys have, because I didn't really watch or hear from him a lot. The most that I saw from him while he was alive was the vlogs of him that he was making when he had cancer.
Yeah.
So the majority of the stuff that I saw of him was him preparing to go.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So for me, I guess it's not as big of a shock. But now
It
that
was,
we're talking about it, I feel like
it was
pretty
it was
big.
Nabil that got me into debating. When I think about it, like it's a bit like what you said, Adam. Like I get a realization when I think about it now of the effect that he's actually had on my faith.
Yeah.
Because I remember the first time I saw him, and I remember this amazing feeling of, if this guy can come to where he is before God, from where he was, then I should, I should obviously stand a chance.
Yeah.
And and I just the thing that always struck me about him, and the thing that I always felt that sort of related to him, was that the thing that drew me to God, drew me to Jesus, was just an innate. I can only put it down to an innate reverence for just the truth. Some people don't value the truth in something for its own sake, and I can't. If I know something is true, I can't just deny it to suit myself. And I always saw that in Nabil, and the way he was able to articulate an argument in a way that was respectful, but also did a huge amount of justice to the Gospels, and the truth of the Gospels. I watched his debates, and his debates were the first few debates that I actually watched. And I remember just sitting in uni, drawing, watching like a debate between Nabil and Shabir Ali on Tawheed.
Yeah. That's amazing, that, because he'd only been a Christian like 5 years, and he was debating the #1 Muslim apologist in the
I
whole world.
know. Yeah. And he leathered him as well.
Yeah, he did.
That was a good debate, that. It's like a 3-hour-long debate.
That's what I mean by like how God has blessed him
Mm.
so much in
I
such
was
a
in
short amount of time.
awe. I was in awe of his debating.
Mm.
I'm gonna have to go back and watch a load of his stuff now.
He's really good.
I
Really
really
good.
haven't. I never bothered with him while he was alive, and now that he's dead, I really wish I did.
Well,
It was
I
weird.
hope,
I was expecting myself to be like a bit emotional, to feel sad, but not really too bothered. And when
Yeah.
I found out, like, I thought, okay, you know, I've got to pray really about this. As soon as I found out, and I just suddenly couldn't stop crying. I just couldn't stop
Yeah.
crying. I thought I felt alright, and it was just when I started praying. One thing's for sure, he's in a better place now.
Hmm. Yeah, man. Just gotta try and be happy for him, really.
Yeah?
right, it's just tough though. Do you know what I mean? Like,
His
think
family
about-
is the difficult
yeah.
part.
Yeah.
But you know what? Like,
Oh,
his daughter's gonna grow up with people saying amazing things about her dad.
yeah.
Yeah.
I've got some other kind of good news about this. I don't know if you guys ever knew this, but Nabil and his wife, before they had his daughter, they had a miscarriage, and people were
Right.
saying that he's going to be with his other child as well.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, his daughter is gonna grow up thinking that our dad's a hero in the same way that, you know, kids think about their dad when they're alive. Just from everything that gets said about him, like.
Hmm.
For Nabil to have done what he did at his age, it's just totally unheard of, isn't it? Absolutely unheard of.
How old is he?
He was
34.
34 when he died. But for him to have debated the best, you know, right? He wrote books that we consider to be the absolute authoritative work on, like, helping Muslims convert to Jesus and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
Hmm.
And he was only 34.
True.
God really blessed him.
He wrote a lot
Hugely.
of books, and they're very successful books as well.
Mm.
I think it's just great that you can see how God moved, really. That, like. I'm trying to think of how best to word this, because, like. What I'm saying is, like, I trust God did the best thing in taking him when he did, right?
Hmm.
By, like. But you can see, I mean, if you imagine, like, another preacher, another pastor, who spends their entire life doing the work that Nabil did in 34 years
Hmm.
before they die. So it's
Yeah.
like the work that they've done for God in that amount of time, and then they get taken.
Hmm.
And then with Nabil, he's so much younger, but he's done so much work
Hmm.
before he was taken.
You got in his fill, yeah.
So I just have to, you know, I think that, like, there's a reason that God made it work that way. That Nabil didn't live his, like, a full 80, 90 years of doing work slowly like everybody else. And instead God blessed him with a life that he had. Oh boy. We're gonna sit talking about this all day if we don't think of something else to do.
I had a thought.
Hmm.
I recently watched the. Have you guys heard of somebody called? I'll see if I can pronounce his name. Bio Nai. Bio Nye.
Bill Nye.
Oh yeah, Bill Nye.
Oh,
So
yeah, right.
I was thinking of Bill Nye and what's his name? Keen Ham.
Say again, sorry?
Keen Ham.
Ken Ham.
Oh yeah, Ken Ham. So
Hmm.
I was thinking about Bill Nye and Ken Ham. I recently watched a video where Bill Nye goes
They're
around
like
the
arch
Ark
enemies,
encounter.
aren't they?
Yeah, it's dead funny. because neither
Oh.
of them seems to know too much about what they're going on about.
I don't know.
That's what's funny about it.
It's weird. But Bill Nye, when he went on the Ark to just
Yeah.
basically attack Ken Ham,
That's what I was talking
he
about.
just came across as so bitter and awful.
Yeah, he did.
He was so angry.
What happened?
Oh, this is the thing, Jake. You've got to watch it. I watched it today, Ollie. Where Bill Nye basically the second day the Ark is open. So basically, Ken Ham built a life-size Noah's Ark out of wood and has turned it into like a museum and stuff. And basically, it's actually doing it hugely successful. And I didn't know that, but it's actually the area where the Ark is now becoming totally rejuvenated and stuff, making like tons of money. But anyway.
All right, cool.
And he set up this Noah's Ark, and then Bill Nye comes onto the Ark, doesn't he, Ollie? Bill Nye comes onto the Ark and proceeds to be a total sausage the whole time he's on there.
Proper
Gosh,
plum.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh my gosh.
I'll chuck a link for that in the description of the video, and I'll take a look at it after this. But give me a gist. What do you mean by he's being a sausage? Is he just like?
Well, Ken Ham's giving him a tour around the thing, and each exhibit he just strikes up like some super like narky like debate, like or just sort of argument, but trying to make him look stupid the whole time and
Right.
just being really nasty, like not being nice about the whole thing. He's one of these guys that like even when he's trying to like even when they have that moment where like it's like okay but no hard feelings and all that, you can tell he doesn't really mean it. He's actually got hard feelings and he can't
Yeah.
make eye contact with the guy. Like it's just really awful.
It's well worth a watch as well.
I'll give it a look.
Just because Bill Nye proper has this. I don't know. Would you agree with this, Ollie? He has this proper like he thinks is Jesus going into the temple with the tax collectors and stuff.
Yeah.
Like he's going around like, I can't believe you would do this. I can't believe you would do this and stuff. And he's like, I just think it's wrong because you're indoctrinating these children. And then like one little girl comes, the bit funniest bit in the whole
Basically
video.
calls him out, says actually
Yeah.
I love Jesus.
Yeah, it was dead funny. The little girl comes up and asks Ken Ham, How did God make us? How did God make people? And Ken Ham says, well, God is all powerful and we don't know how he made us, but we do know that he can speak anything into being, right? And he gives this biblical answer, and then Bill Nye interrupts this answer and goes, well, you see, we were made by evolution and the natural processes. And he gives this really long-winded scientific answer, and he's like, "You see, we're stars." And the girl looks him directly in the face and goes, "I like Ken Ham. I like Ken's answer better." Like that. And then this guy, and then he just walks off really angrily.
That's so
It's really
funny.
funny.
What people like Bill Nye don't understand when they wave the finger of you're indoctrinating children is if you're going to take that approach, it's either you're indoctrinating children or I'm indoctrinating children. It's like, oh, you're indoctrinating children, and that's not fair because I want to.
Yeah.
Bill Nye, I think, as well presented what has got to be the worst argument I've ever heard. What happened was Ken Ham's like, basically, Bill Nye keeps saying, "Oh, science is so great," and he gives all these reasons that are really rubbish. And then Ken Ham says, "Yeah, but scientists change their minds." And then Bill Nye's like, No, you're denying science. You're denying science. And he's like, yeah, but scientists change your minds. And then Bill Nye goes, well, yes, that's another great thing about science. It's always changing. And then Ken Ham says, so you're going to tell me that in 20 years' time, you might be entirely wrong about your claims today? And he's like, yes, that's right. And it was such a stupid argument because Bill Nye stood there saying, yeah, I could be entirely wrong right now, but I am certain that you are absolutely wrong right now.
Yeah.
How does that make any sense?
It's a self-defeating statement, isn't it?
And the comments of the people underneath are so arrogant as well.
Yeah.
Looks like a great time though, the Ark. I'd love to go on that.
You talk about it like it's a fairground, right?
Yeah, it does look like it, you know.
I'd love to have a go on that. Yeah.
I would like to.
Wee.
Can you go out
Again.
and
Tell me more.
Again,
Ken.
Mr. Ham, again.
It's quite ironic that his name's Ham and he's got two of all the animals on the boat. But did you know as well? He firmly believes that dinosaurs lived at the same time as people, so he's also got dinosaurs on the ark as well.
Does he actually? That's
Fair
cool,
enough.
man. I think that as well. To be fair, I think they did.
Oh, you heretic!
Shut up.
I'm kidding.
me
I haven't
guess.
really made my mind up.
You still haven't watched that Kent Hovind video.
I have.
You have?
Actually, I have,
Oh yeah.
and I think he does a good job, and he's quite funny.
He is quite funny, isn't he?
But
Although it's very practiced jokes. It's the same ones in all of his.
Yeah, they all
Yeah.
do that though.
Yeah, it's true.
They're comedian. They're not comedians, mate. Actually, even comedians have the same jokes in all their things these days.
It's true.
Yeah.
I was just gonna
But,
say the thing about indoctrination is like there's like a when you say the word indoctrination, people more think about the context of around the idea of indoctrination than what the word actually means.
Hmm.
Because like to indoctrinate literally just means to teach someone. Like that's literally all it means.
that's interesting.
Doctrina, like the Latin, is just a thing that you teach someone.
And the
That's where
thing
we get
is,
doctrine from.
the only way you could teach a kid up having not ever indoctrinated any belief into them is if you didn't teach them anything.
Yeah.
And that's
Exactly.
not going to get us anywhere.
Like when you
Yeah, but
to send a kid into school, you indoctrinate them into mathematics and physics and English and everything.
Yeah.
It's
And
just-
the only reason that people don't regard it as a negative indoctrination is because they believe it to be true. Sometimes it is, not all the time.
yeah,
We know for a fact that there's still just plainly wrong science in science textbooks now.
yeah,
it's like stop indoctrinating your kids. All right, you're telling us to stop teaching my kids something that I know to be true, and I know it's the most important thing that they could possibly
Yeah.
learn.
But just because you disagree, it becomes a negative thing.
Yeah, it becomes bad that I'm teaching them it. Doesn't make sense.
it's really funny and it's really stupid. Atheists genuinely. Have you seen the pictures, the memes where it's like, I'm not a Christian, I'm not an anything until you force me to believe it and stuff. And it's the idea that kids are atheists when they're born. That is so unbelievably untrue. We have studies of kids raised in atheist homes. On average, will pray. They will. It's entirely natural for kids to do that. We know that.
Yeah, I've seen that.
course.
Psychologically, it's
Yeah.
just there. People just pray by default,
Yeah.
which is awesome. It was Inspiring Philosophy, that YouTube channel, that did he does some good work, by the way. Like the amount of research that he puts into all of his videos
Yeah,
is
yeah.
mental. That particular video, he's just going from study after study showing how like belief in God is the default position
Mm.
for all of humanity.
I think his best, because that's what they were designed to do, wasn't it? They were designed to glorify God.
Mhm.
They were designed to worship God. They were designed to show everybody what God was like. But I'm getting off topic. His best video by far is his abortion video. I think
Not
that
seen
should be required watching for everyone who wants to have an opinion about abortion. It absolutely wrecks every anti-abortion argument. It's so worth
I
it.
love Ben Shapiro's debates on abortion, like when he's talking to people about abortion. I like the stuff that he did debunking where people make comparisons between Jesus and like other ancient religions, gods and stuff like Mithra and things like that. And I like his. I really enjoyed his Book of Job video.
Yeah, that is a good one. That is a good one. I think he does a great Book of Job as well, the Bible Project.
Mm.
I remember once I went to a conference. Was it a conference? I don't know what you would call it, but anyway, it was like a week's worth of teaching, and it was all these famous Bible teachers from all over the world and stuff in Prestatyn in Wales. And the theme of this conference was Jove. So the 5 main talks were all about Jove, and consistently the talks were awful, absolutely awful, a total disaster. It really was. I heard people actually complained about it, which is quite funny.
What was bad about him?
I don't know. It felt like because you need to have a good theology of suffering, right? You need to.
Job's a tough one as well.
Yeah, and Job's a tough one. But when every single Bible teacher, it's almost like every single teacher thought to themselves, I'm going to be the one that goes really tough on this suffering stuff. And then because all 5 of them did, you were just totally miserable. There was no hope the whole week. The whole thing was like suffering happens and that's it. One guy in particular, which has got to be the worst Bible talk I've ever been to, worst sermon I've ever been to. One guy, he literally brought along a picture and put it up on the thing of a woman in his congregation who was totally healthy and then died. And all he talked about the whole time was that she had died and it was horrible. And that was literally the whole sermon.
Oh.
Literally, everyone was so confused. I was really confused as well. Anyway, I'm being silly and getting off topic.
There isn't a topic, mate.
Oh,
We're
yeah.
talking about anything.
I was thinking a lot about freedom of the will lately.
Oh,
No, I'm
okay.
kidding. I'm just being silly.
Welcome to the Alternative Review 7-hour edition.
It's okay, Adam. Jake, I meant to say Jake.
Okay.
I was gonna deliver a joke, but I've just ruined it before I even started, so that's fine.
We can pretend you didn't just say that.
No, that's cool.
Try again, I'll
It's
let it
ruined.
out.
Huh? What,
I
on
wanna
your
hear it.
brains? No, it's cool. It was a bad joke.
Okay.
I was just gonna do a cheeky dig at Adam.
Hey now. Hey now.
I'm an
rock
all-star, I know.
Oh.
It's cool.
We both had it.
Thank you.
Right, anyway. He has a bit of news.
Ready.
Right. Planned Parenthood has received the Lasker Bloomberg Public Service Award, which is an award often referred to as the American Nobel. According to the National Review, the abortion provider will receive the award for its commitment to provide essential health services and reproductive care to millions of women for more than a century. The award is a prestigious honor and is often referred to as the American Nobel, since many of its previous recipients went on to win a Nobel Prize. It is bestowed by the Albert and Mary Lasker Foundation. Previous recipients of the award include Bill and Melinda Gates, Michael Bloomberg, and President Lyndon B. Johnson.
Lyndon Johnson got one.
Yeah. They've been given...
I mean, that's derp of the week, I think, like.
yeah, it's an option. We've got a
There
couple
have
of
been
extras.
some derps.
Yeah. Yeah, but they've been given essentially the precursor to the Nobel Prize, which is ridiculous.
You know, lads, I don't like to use the word retarded on this program, but that is certainly retarded.
I'm not even going to make any comment on that. I can't be bothered. I just can't be bothered.
See, I really like it when you use the word retarded, because you say it really funny.
It is. I just, like Ollie says, I like. Here's the thing: part of their goal, and the forces of evil, and they worship their father, the devil. Part of their goal is to wear us down. Do you know what I mean? Like so many times, you see this, and then you go, "What is the point?" You know what I mean? But we've got to keep fighting. I think we've got to be open, especially in the UK. You've got to be open about it because the pro-abortion culture in the UK is the mainstream, absolutely mainstream. We're not divided over it over here, I don't think. And they do want to wear us down. They want us not to care about it anymore. They want us to become indifferent, like they have. Like, think about it. Controversial time, everyone. If you see a gay couple on TV, does it offend you anymore? Or is it just there? It might annoy you, but does it offend you anymore?
Yeah. Well, I think offend might be a strong word. I don't like it.
Yeah, I don't know that it offends us.
That's the thing, though.
Offended us.
It should do.
Do you think
It's
it should
this-
offend us, though?
Sin should offend us. Celebrating sin should always offend us, but we've seen so much of it, so much that we've just become so desensitized to it. They want to do the same thing with abortion. You know, this is becoming like Pete. Have you ever seen Family Guy?
Hmm.
Well, you know, he had a segment where it was like grind my gears.
Yeah.
That's what's going to happen now. Okay.
Right. You
Think
know
of it
what
like
really
this.
grinds my gears.
Planned Parenthood.
That was good.
I actually really hate Family Guy. But anyway. So, yeah, oh yeah. So there was a book that came out. I can't remember what it was called now. A book that came out, and it was written by two scientists, and they were both gay, and they were talking about how are we going to change America and the Western culture's view of homosexuality, right? Guess if it came out in 1991. The first thing they said, we have to exploit the AIDS crisis so that people will view gay men as victims, was the first thing. That's exactly what happened. The second thing is we need to desensitize people through television to gay people. Okay, we need to do that just by total overexposure, and that's exactly what has happened. And they've got exactly what they thought would happen. These two research scientists, and and we should get offended if they're celebrating sin. You know what I mean? It's different than if a gay man is on TV and he's like, "Oh man, I'm really struggling. I don't know how I feel about this." That's different. That's somebody struggling with the temptation. But if you're celebrating, you see what I mean? If there's a gay person on TV, all the characters like, "Oh, I'm so happy for you." That should offend us, I think. I don't know. What's your guys' take?
It reminds me of, I think it's in Coronation Street. There's a vicar in it now, isn't there? And the actor that plays him's gay. And I just know that if I saw Coronation Street, or whatever, I think it's either Coronation Street or EastEnders, I think it's Corrie. I know I would just think it was retarded the way it was written. Like, it's probably written by people that don't have a clue about what a Christian is.
Yeah. Without a doubt. The soaps do just get on my nerves. Because the whole theme of it, all the time, is like the way that, like, look at the way that these people are sinning. That's like the whole thing.
Don't even get me started on soap operas. Don't even get me started.
That sounded real lot like.
Man. I seriously now, soap operas, I think, have ruined the lower class British family in the UK. Absolutely wrecked it, I think.
Yeah.
I think it's soap operas are the sole responsibility for because if you tell you what, if you went on mission where you went into the streets trying to tell people about Jesus, have a guess which town would be more receptive, the town that had the highest income or the town that had the lowest income? Which would be more receptive to the gospel, do you think?
I
Highest.
don't know.
You'd have thought it would be the lowest.
Yeah, but the problem is they've been brainwashed. You know what I mean? The lower class, because they watch so much TV and they watch tons of it, they've been totally brainwashed. I think Christians are just there to take advantage of them. Like, I noticed this in Christchurch. I was like, I think I'm the poorest person here. Every single person here in Christchurch is very high middle class. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's something I think we all need to think about. Because, you know, the Methodists, their whole deal, their whole revival was, it's not fair that the poor people don't get to go to church when they want to. And that is when the Methodists kind of really started kicking off. And then they grew because it was about the poor people was what it was about originally. Let's reach the poor people with these new forms of worship. And today I think we need a resurgence of that sense.
You might be right, you know.
We should ban
about that, the class divide.
Yeah, it's bigger than we think, and it's specifically spiritual, nothing else.
Interesting way of looking at it. It is a thing.
You know what they say? The bigger the telly, the smaller the library.
Is that what they say?
Yep.
That's a good saying, that.
But
it's
quite
true.
right, though.
Yeah, poor people watch tons and tons of TV. They watch more TV than anybody else. And I seriously do believe soap operas should be banned. But I think it's too hard to define to ban. In one sense.
Yeah.
But the biggest problem, I mean, I can go on about this just because of my degree was in this area, but the biggest problem I think is that they present a hyper version of reality. Do you know what I mean? Every day it's a new, every day it's a new drama. Well, like you said, Jake, it's a new sin every single day. That it's a new thing, and then poor people, it's almost
it normalizes everything, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It normalizes iniquity.
Yeah, exactly. And poor people think their lives are boring, so they've got to be more like this. I've heard my mum. I mean, my mum's when we were young, we really struggled with money. Now she doesn't. Now I would describe her as middle class. But some of the stuff that she says, and I know she's got it from soap operas about like, oh well, I deserve this, I deserve better, and stuff like that. And I'm thinking, who pumped this idea into you? And then I
That you're
realized,
entitled to anything.
yeah, and then I realized it's because it's the language of soap operas, isn't it? You see women put their feet up, going, "Oh, I deserve this, that. Oh, have you seen the way he talked to me? Blah 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 blah." Do you see what I'm getting at? It's just totally not a real version of reality that we buy into. Soap operas should be illegal, but it's too hard to define. That, and we should throw gay people off of. No, I'm just kidding.
I was just gonna say.
I think Cheshire's got that down.
What's that?
I think Cheshire's got it on lockdown. The whole, we don't need to worry about that.
I don't know what you mean.
Well, they're doing everyone's work for them, aren't they?
Yeah.
On the secret. Not that I'm saying that it should be happening, but it was a joke.
It's,
It got dark.
We talked about it in another episode, Jake.
I don't know.
Goodness me, keep up, mate.
Forgive me. But I'm
Basically,
a few
gay
weeks
people
behind.
are under persecution in Chechnya, and like because it's a
Oh,
Muslim majority.
Chechnya. I thought you said Cheshire.
Yeah, I thought you said Cheshire at first.
Really?
Right, yeah.
Yeah. And then I was
Chechnya,
oh, no,
yeah, of course.
He means Chechnya.
Cheshire, the most homophobic place on the
I was like,
planet.
yeah, like what's Cheshire doing? This is news.
Thank you.
Yeah. Chechnya.
Yeah, I live one county over from Cheshire. They do not tolerate the gays.
Chechnya, homosexuality. No.
I think not.
I think not.
I think nada.
Right.
I
I
don't
like
know-
the God.
Oh gosh. I don't have a news story. Well, I do have some for tip of the week and stuff.
Okay.
But I have a funny story to tell you guys. You guys enjoy citadels, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I was recently over at my friend's house, Aunt and Sarah's.
Ooh, look who's got mates.
Well,
Get
Well,
this
Ollie-
guy.
Ollie will soon realise when you're a married couple, other married couples come out of the framework wanting you to come over for dinner and stuff. It's bizarre. I don't even know where they come from. But anyway, Aunt and Sarah invited us over, and we had another mutual friend visiting. But
Because
like,
that- oh gosh.
most enjoyable. And we sat
They had a vintage cognac and it
Oh
was
my.
just, oh my gosh. Mm.
And that's the end of the story. No, and and basically, they'd set up their whole living room. They'd use different couches and stuff, and they'd built like a den. You know, like when you were kids, you would build a den, and they built a huge den, and in the living room, they covered it in candles. Right. This is
Yes,
right.
viewers, we are talking about adults.
Yeah, that's the thing. I was telling them this is fun. It was funny for that reason. They got snacks and stuff. They got props for every single character in Citadels. Right.
Wow.
This is what I wanted to do.
I know. You should come down sometime, seriously, and we'll do it. It'll be
To the
so
den.
fun. What?
To the den.
But here's what they did, right?
Mm.
And they were being proper cryptic about it all day. They were texting me, make sure you wear light clothes. Make sure you wear light clothes. And I was like, this is very odd. Because why do I have to wear... I thought she meant lighter coloured clothes. And I was like, what is going on?
You
Why do
turned
we
up
have
in
to
a
wear
white
different
boiler
coloured
suit.
clothes? No. Because luckily I found out before that and I got changed. Right, so we go into this thing. We have, and again, the story gets better. We go into this den. Okay,
Promise.
candles everywhere. We all have different props. There is a king crown. Okay, and there's all these different things, and we're all sat there. And then somebody says to me, Adam, would you like to pick the character cards? This is where it gets weird. I'm looking at the cards, and my first reaction, because you know, like with your version of Citadels, Ollie, you have different art
Yeah.
on the cards. So I look at these character cards, I go, wow, this art's different. Oh, are those pictures? Oh, that's so interesting. And then it hits me. Hang on. They have recreated every single character card. They've done it, but with them as the main characters. So they've taken pictures for every single character card and then replaced it with that in the game. And I was going through like, this is insane. And I was going through it like,
Hang on,
this is-
sorry. I don't understand. So what? The character cards were they actually painted or what?
No. They'd taken pictures and then photoshopped it into a card and printed
Right.
it into a card. So they had recreated each individual character card. I think there's with the expansion pack. I think there's like 16 of them, and they're taking a picture of each one. It was really, really fun. It
That's
was
a
really
lot of
crazy.
work.
Yeah, yeah, I could tell it was.
That's an
it
absolute
was-
session, that.
And it was funny as well for 5 minutes, and then they were just like regular cards. But still, I appreciate. And they implemented a new rule, which was maybe the weirdest rule I've ever played in Citadels ever. Right.
Hmm.
So this is kind of normal, first of all. So you have the king, and then each different person has a rank. So you have like the king, and then you have 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hmm.
And then obviously the person who's won gets mocked and has to clean the sewers and stuff. But we implemented a rule that was very bizarre. We had to put on one of the big fake mustaches, and there were more than one. Put on the big fake mustaches, and then you had to become a salesman of a different nationality and try and convince people to buy what it was you were selling. Isn't that the
What?
weirdest? I know. Isn't that the weirdest game of Citadels ever? But somehow it worked. I can't explain it.
I don't know where that last rule came from. Like,
I know.
You don't even sell things in Citadels, do you?
well, there's the
No.
merchant.
No, like, I played a Japanese I played a Japanese toilet paper salesman. Anthony was the funniest one, I think.
I
He
don't
played.
understand how that fits into the context of the game, though.
I didn't understand at the time, but it made sense.
Okay.
I can't explain it. Anthony was he sold chickpeas. Oh yeah, he was an Indian chickpea salesman, and he talked like this, and he was like, "Oh, very interesting. Would you like to buy a chickpea from me, please?" And then he was and stuff like that. I mean, don't get me wrong, it was deeply racist. When I saw the white nationalist flag when I walked into the house, I was like, okay,
Yeah.
something's going down right now. No, there was no flag. We did do that. It was very bizarre. Yeah, you would say stuff like, well, have you ever considered a healthier alternative to fish and chips? Have you ever tried fish and chickpea? Very nice. And stuff like that.
That's good.
how
man.
are you selling toilet roll?
I mean,
Go on, dude.
I
Do it.
don't want to repeat it. It is so racist.
No, you must.
I'll try. Let me get into character.
Right.
Hiroshima bomb. Hiroshima bomb. No, that's not how I get into character. It was like I was just like, I would like you to know I have a roughly a respect for the English language.
Rangridge. Sounds like
Stuff
Scooby
like
Doo.
that. Yeah, I was like, I will do anything for you to buy one of my free Pry toilet paper. Very nice, just like that. If you get the drift.
Wonderful.
Yeah,
But
it
so
works.
I assume that people were then paying their in-game gold.
No. You had to trade whatever it was you sold when you were selling.
What?
Right. Okay.
Yeah, so Katya is
How did it actually get you any further in the game?
It didn't.
That's just so stupid.
Yeah, it was fun though.
Oh my god.
Highly recommend it.
Well, I can
Does anybody else have any story?
quite adamantly say that I'm never implementing that rule into a game of Citadels ever.
When you play it though, it makes sense. I can't
Okay.
explain it.
Alright. No, I don't have any funny stories from Citadels because I only ever play it when I'm down there with Ollie.
Citadels. Yeah. I would really like to do a Dungeons and Dragons game soon.
Oh, I would be so down for playing Dungeons and Dragons.
You'll have to come down, Jake, and you can have a proper game.
Who's going to be the Dungeon Master?
Well, I'm the only one who's done it a few times, so I don't mind. I do really. Have you ever played Dungeons and Dragons, Ollie?
No.
Oh, dude, you'll have to come down and play it sometime.
It's such great crack. Which edition would we be doing?
Well, I have 4, but I know it's the worst.
cool.
But I've never
Yeah.
played any others.
4's the one I know as well. That'll be
Oh, is it? That's
ideal
good.
for me, yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. I did Dungeon Mastering once
Hmm.
for like one
Did-
session, and then I didn't go again.
Yeah.
We ended up stopping.
You
It was
have
alright.
you have mixed feelings as Dungeon Master because I know when I first did it, I spent legitimately probably the best part of a month planning stuff, planning different intricate things that would happen in each individual town, each individual house and stuff. And then a good 70% of it just never got used.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. It takes so much planning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
Like
best
getting
bit I
all of
rem-
the encounters as well. It takes so long to set up encounters
Yeah, it does.
that are like the right level and everything, you know?
Yeah. And eventually I just give up and kind of wing it with stuff like that.
Yeah.
When I get too bored. I remember playing once with Dungeons and Dragons when one of the main characters had been saving up money all game,
Mm.
and I told him, "You're gonna want to spend it now and not later." And he was like, "No, I'll wait till later." And he kept winking at me like something was gonna come up. And I was just like, "Oh, okay." And then there was a shop, and then I told him, "You should probably stay with the group." And then he was like, "No, I need to spend this money." And he went to
So
the
you don't
shop.
know what you're talking about.
I know. And he went into the shop, and the only thing the shop sold, the only thing was rope. That was it.
Right.
And so he spent all of his money on rope that he literally never used.
What you specifically planned that shop was just going to be a rope shop?
No, I was annoyed at him, so I was like, "Yeah, it just sells rope,
Right.
this one."
So I just bought like 600 meters of rope.
Yeah, and he didn't use it at all. It was too close to the end of the game. He kept trying to find an excuse to use it, and all the other players were like, "No, it's fine, honestly. I'll just climb."
That's hilarious.
Yeah, Dungeons and Dragons is really fun.
Yeah, man, we should do it. I could just do
You
it
guys
over
should come
Skype,
down.
I suppose.
Oh yeah, we could do that actually.
It'd be well easy. Just get like a webcam up so I can see the board and stuff.
Hmm.
And then you'll have to trust me on dice rolls.
Yeah.
Just get nat 20 every single time.
So, should we move into Derp of the Week?
Yeah, we'd best actually crack on.
Yeah. This is becoming sizable. What have you guys got for Derp of the Week? Or if you have any thoughts of the week.
What?
Remember, I did a thought of the week last time, so if anybody's heard anything that they think would be good to ponder.
I think
It is not what goes into a body that defiles a person, but it's what comes out of a person that defiles them.
that's mental that you bring that up because I've been pondering that a lot recently.
So have I.
That's interesting.
That's why I wanted to say it. I was listening to my audio Bible in the car, and I heard that, and I thought, wow, that just hit me, and I don't know why, but it did.
Hmm.
And I think it was because I was thinking a lot about this, the veganism stuff.
Right.
I don't know why it hit me, but yeah, and I really liked it. And it made me remember of when I was doing my training at work. There was a guy who hadn't been a Christian for very long. He was under the impression that like he had to be a vegan in order to be a Christian.
Mm.
That's weird.
Yeah.
Was he a Seventh-day Adventist?
I don't think he'd made his mind up on it yet.
Okay.
He did ask me what I thought of seven-day Adventism.
Interesting because that verse kind of it reminds you exactly how corrupt man is. You know what I mean? Like this evilness, nobody's pushing him or forcing him to do it. It is literally comes
Comes out
from
of it.
within. Yeah, the very most sacred part of you, it comes out of. You know what I mean?
Mm. The line between good and evil is not drawn between a class or creed, but it's within every human heart.
Who said that?
Can't remember.
Kind of reminds me of Mark Meynell would say, the heart of the human problem is the problem of the human heart.
Pooh.
Anyway,
Slammed.
let's move into Derp of the Week if nobody's got any extra thoughts.
All right.
No?
All right, we shall begin. Oops.
I keep forgetting you actually do that every time.
Welcome to Derp of the Week.
Wonderful. All right.
What? Who are our contestants, Ollie? Because I know you always come prepared.
Well, in my incredible preparedness, I've got Planned Parenthood wins American Nobel Award.
Oh gosh.
I haven't stolen that from Jake. The next one is the absolute chemistry genius that put a bomb on the subway that couldn't even blow its way through a small plastic bucket.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like,
What else? What else we got?
what were the
Have you
ones that
guys-
you had, Adam?
Well, I was just thinking about Jennifer Lawrence.
Oh yes.
You heard
What
about this, Ollie?
No.
That's funny. So this kind of Jennifer Lawrence's is like a double-sided coin. So basically, Jennifer Lawrence came out as gay. No, she didn't. But she came out and she said that she believes that this hurricane is because Mother Nature is angry and is punishing America because they elected Donald Trump.
Oh, what a retard.
That's the first thing. The second thing is that she's in a new film called Mother, is the name of the film. And the whole film is based on the filmmaker Darren Aronofsky's illustration of the Bible, right? So this guy has retold the whole Bible according to what his opinion of it is and turned it into a film called Mother.
Okay.
If I could talk about the Mother Nature thing, right? This is more a Derp of the Week on just everyone who heard that and didn't kick off. Because, like, whenever someone would say, this is God's judgment on America or whatever, for the sin that they've been committing, like, everyone would kick off
There's an
at
uproar,
that.
yeah.
But
To
then
be
as soon
fair-
as someone says that it's Mother Nature passing judgment,
On
There's
Donald
nothing.
Trump.
Yeah.
Gosh, I'm
exactly.
she's so spiritual, isn't she? She's connected. She's connected to the world.
Oh gosh. Yeah, it's just the entire
That is ridiculous.
Western public Derp of the Week.
Mm.
I mean, if you think about it, does this mean now that we officially live in a pagan society? If
Ooh.
she can say something like that and it can get a sort of reaction, I don't know. Why is it that Mother Nature is such a merciful God and yet the God of the Bible is just evil and cruel?
Was she
You know what I
being
mean?
No.
praised for saying it?
Well,
I think it's mostly Christian leaders going, "Well, that's stupid," and then everybody else going, like,
Yeah,
going,
that is kind of stupid.
"No."
no, unfortunately not.
No.
Everyone else going, shut up, you're stupid.
No.
Yeah, basically. I just think that is so stupid.
Right. What's this Mother film? What's the plot of it?
All I remember about it is that it's incredibly, incredibly graphic. I know it's a lot about abortion.
Oh, okay. Of
Um,
course it is. Alright, wonderful. Okay, so we've got the the terrorist who couldn't quite manage to make an explosion. What was the other one? The first one that you said?
Planned Parenthood.
Oh yeah, Planned Parenthood getting an American Nobel. The predecessor or precursor to the Nobel Prize. And then we've got Mother and Jennifer Lawrence praising. Oh, not praising, but commenting on Mother Nature. What do you reckon?
I mean,
The Planned Parenthood thing gets it for me, like,
yeah, me too. Just because they're a bunch of serial killers.
basically, yeah.
I think we've got a running trend of going for the most severely sinful.
I just can't help it.
Yeah.
It's just awful. It's just despicable.
So be
It
it.
is.
Do you want to do the honours, Adam?
Congratulations, Planned Parenthood. You will be receiving a tweet from me, and we may be receiving a lawsuit from you soon. I don't really know.
Oh, hang on. To be fair, it's actually not Planned Parenthood that you need to be given the award to,
Go on.
because they've
You need
received
to
the
give
award.
it to the award panel, yeah.
Yeah, you need to
Oh,
give
what
it
was the
to-
name of the award?
Let me find it. Hang on. The Albert and Mary Lasker Foundation.
The Albert. Find it.
Congratulations, Albert and Mary Lasker. Your foundation.
How are you spelling Lasker? Sorry.
Lasker. Your foundation has given the precursor to the Nobel Prize to a bunch of serial murderers. So it's quite an accolade. But I'm sure they're under no illusions of what goes on behind those doors. They just don't care.
And now, ladies and gents, we safely swift into our final segment. The segment we've all been waiting for, where we pit the three most intelligent people in the world against each other.
Oh, steady
And
on
they
now.
debate. I'm just joshing. And we debate whatever is entirely at the whim of my imagination 3 months ago when I wrote these things. So, Ollie, would you like to go up against Jake?
Yeah, alright. I'll do one. I'm not in much of a debatey mood, I'll warn you. But I'll do
Oh.
one. Just for the
Alright,
spirit of the podcast.
Well, I rarely am.
Because you're going to get wrecked, mate.
Yeah, pretty much. I've never won one yet.
Here we go. You've not won one yet, have you not?
Not on the podcast, no.
That's interesting. Why do you think that is?
It's because I'm terrible. No, I don't know.
How come you're not in a debatey
I
mood,
just-
Ollie, do you think?
I don't know.
Go on, Jake.
I just don't know.
I
Don't know, mate.
don't know. I just I feel like I don't have the debating skills, you know what I mean? I don't have the rhetoric or the energy to
It
actually
is
pull
just
it off.
this game is just an exercise in rhetoric, really.
It really is. And I don't have any
Sometimes
of it.
we uncover some truths, uncomfortable truths about ourselves. That's what makes it all worth it, I think.
I think that's what you like to tell yourself so that we continue to have an excuse to play this bloody game.
We don't have to play it. I just really like it.
No, I do enjoy it actually. Although I'm shocking at it and hate it.
Sounds like there's some mixed emotions there. Like,
Yeah, man. Take time.
Okay. One of these is very specific to us, by the way. The three things, the three debating topics that you guys have. One, we should make it illegal to draw with anything other than the Palomino Blackwing.
Me and Adam can debate that one, I think.
Yeah, Ollie doesn't know enough about him to competently debate. The second one is the moon landing was faked.
Oh, okay.
The third one is prisoners should be dressed in giant carrot costumes and guards should be dressed in giant rabbit costumes.
Goodness me.
What's it gonna be, lads?
what was the second one?
The moon landing was faked.
Oh, yeah, that's cool.
You want to debate that one?
Huh?
You want to debate that one?
The moon landing one.
Yeah.
I could do that all day long, mate.
Oh, Jake, what do you think?
All day long, any day of the week, fam.
I really don't know if I can do that one. I'll moderate this one if you want. If Adam, you fancy taking that one up.
Sure, I don't mind.
Yep, let's
All
do
right.
it.
Hang on, I need to get a coin to flip. Right. Heads. Ollie says
Shoulders.
it's faked. Right.
Mm-hmm.
It's tails.
Oh God.
Adam is arguing
Oh, I wanted to say it was fake.
the affirmative case that the moon landing was faked. Alright.
Okie dokie. That means I go first.
That is correct. Let me get a stopwatch. Right. Adam, are you ready?
No.
Let me know when you are.
No, I'll give it a go.
Alright. Your 2-minute opening statement begins now.
So, the moon landing. There is a huge following right now saying that the moon landing was real, and you can be certain that they are wrong. And I'm going to lay out as consistently and clearly as possible why that is true. Number one, we know for a fact that NASA has changed statements before. We know for a fact that NASA has misled people with evidence before. We know for a fact that NASA doesn't have any authority regulating it in the way that it should. NASA would have got a lot of money for that, pretending to land on the moon, and if just because NASA's can do that means it can continue creating excuses in order to gain money to exist as an institution. I would suggest, it may be a conspiracy theory, but I would suggest it's very possible that NASA could be creating a series of issues that it could be using for its own profit. Another point I'd like to point out is that we currently can't see where we first landed on the moon. Maybe we could have landed later, but the original moon landing, was it faked, is entirely possible. There are people who claim to have worked on the actual moon landing set before. There are people that have claimed to have been a part of the set. There are people that have been killed in American government positions who have died mysteriously connected to it, who allegedly were going to come out about it. To assume we have the technology to survive in the vacuum of space is entirely possible. I could believe all of the technology was possible to get us there, in fact. But I just believe we didn't do it. And I think that the consistency of my argument will be a testimony to that effect.
Alright, time.
Are you quite done?
I am.
Read your Bible, boy.
Mr. Brillard, your time begins now.
Alright. I simply don't think there's enough evidence to say that the moon landing wasn't real. There's plenty of evidence to say that it was. And there's plenty of evidence to say that we've certainly been to the moon. I don't know if we're debating specifically the moon landing or, you know, any subsequent visits or anything like that, because I think there was a few in there. So, yeah, I just simply think there's a lack of evidence. Any of the theories that I am aware of about the moon landing have been debunked. I know quite a few of them because I did some research when I was younger about things like the issues with the flag and the way the shadows happen and the way the crosshairs of the cameras don't quite seem to make sense. But yeah, a lot of them have been debunked, and I don't see consistent evidence, so I assume the null hypothesis. That's my statement.
Alright. You had 45 seconds left. Adam,
Yeah?
are you prepared for your 2-minute rebuttal?
Yeah.
Alright, your time begins now.
Now, you see, my opponent, all he's done is tell me and tell this beautiful, unassuming audience that these arguments have been debunked, and yet he doesn't provide any way in which they've been debunked. He just says they've been debunked, they have been defeated, they have been proven wrong, and yet doesn't provide a way. He tells us all these problems, such as the camera crosshairs not adding up. He tells us such as problems about the problem with the shadows and the problem with the flag. How did the flag stand up, etc., etc., etc. And yet he didn't tell us why. He didn't explain to us why these things aren't up. And the truth is because that we have been indoctrinated in this culture to blindly accept what scientists say on a political basis. NASA often being the chief of this in terms of climate change. I mean, think about how often somebody would be bullied today if they said they didn't believe the moon landing was real, for example. All it is scientific dogma. All it is the belief in scientism, in fact, I would go as far as to say. And all my opponent done is better serve my argument. And I think if you continue to analyze the claims I've made, even against the claims that my opponent has made, which he can't even back up sources for his own claims, back up parts for his own claims, back up parts of his own argument, and he even attacks me and can't even back up those attacks. My opponent has proven he is incapable of proving that. And also, I asked him this. Was he there? Does he know anybody that's ever been there? Was anybody that ever been there wrote it down? Absolutely not. There has never been any current living record. In fact, no one had ever met anybody called Buzz Aldrin or Neil Armstrong. They were entirely fictitious creations by NASA. And in fact, the actor who played Neil Armstrong recently came out and admitted that it was a lie and that it was a well-paying gig, and he took it, but now he regrets it. I end my rebuttal.
That was perfect timing.
Thank you.
Right.
Okay, so I'd like to first point out that the reason, in my opening statement, I hadn't tried to debunk any of the theories about the moon landing conspiracy was because I hadn't been presented with any theories about the moon landing conspiracy on which to debunk. I was aware of some pre-existing ones that I can debunk upon request. Well, some of them that I can debunk. I don't know all of them. But yeah, I'm not aware of any of Buzz Aldrin being an actor or Thingy being an actor, Armstrong being an actor. I've never heard of that one. I mean, the only one you've actually mentioned so far is the flag issue. The flag had a metal pole going through the top of it. That's why it stayed up. You can actually see it in the photographs. So there's that one for you. And yeah, I just assume the null hypothesis. It's more reasonable to assume that it actually happened because there's more evidence supporting the fact that it happened. And that's logically the best way to go. That's my statement.
All right. You once again have 45 seconds left. Okay.
Are we?
Right. For our 4 minutes of open discussion, I'd like to begin with asking if either of you have got anything that you would want to bring up. Well, actually, no. I'll say, Adam, I'd like you to respond with to Ollie's accusation that you haven't actually provided any positive evidence or argumentation that the moon landing was indeed faked.
Very good question. I can tell you're a stout young man. I can tell you've got a good head on your shoulders.
A stout young man. Thank you for commenting on my weight.
No, isn't that a word?
Astute.
Astute. Sorry.
Well, let me remind you, Adam, that Jake is actually judging your argument here. So you might not want to insult him.
It was unintentional, as I'm sure you'll be able to know with your incredible brain. But anyway,
brain.
I have a piece of evidence that my opponent hasn't even mentioned.
Give it
Why was there no impact crater? Why was there no impact crater?
Are you wanting me to respond to that now?
No.
Right, okay.
I've been asked the question. Another piece of evidence I could provide is why is it that across the different pictures of the different Apollo missions, there is identical backdrops, and yet the allegedly the original device that was used to land on the moon isn't in these backdrops and is allegedly lost. However, the mountain formations look exactly the same. Suspicious, is it not? I finished my question reply.
Okay.
Right. Yeah, go on, mate.
So, anyone asking why there was no impact crater on where the moon landing was clearly doesn't understand how you land on the moon. Like, it's not an impact; it's a controlled landing because they had to take off again. So there's that. What else? What else we got? So I mean, a backdrop of mountains. Mountains all look pretty similar, especially when they're all white. There's that. When you initially said about a backdrop, I was thinking, what, like a black sky? It's kind of, yeah. What
Yeah, I
else
mean,
did
like-
you mention?
I mean the mountain formations
Yeah.
specifically.
Okay. Is that actually a thing?
Yeah,
What, and they're supposed to be in like different locations?
yeah.
The issue I have with that is that if that wasn't a coincidence, right, and genuinely it was done in a studio, right, that was organised by the government, do you think they wouldn't have thought of that?
Well, and what if it's budget?
It was done by the government.
Yeah, the government's not some infinite money fountain.
So it's like, okay, NASA, North Atlantic Space Agency, here's what we want you to do. We want you to fool the entire world into thinking that we've actually landed on the moon. But there's a catch. We've got a pretty small budget. We're
I have
on a
question.
budget.
I have a question for Ollie Jake, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, sure.
Ollie, what is the most convincing argument that you think that we didn't land on the moon?
In some of the photographs, the lighting looks like it's been done on set, like shadows going in all different directions.
We've run out of
But-
time, but I'd like to ask: is there something that is there like a way that is rebutted, or is that something that's still kind of up in the air or not?
I think we should just leave it hanging.
Okay. No.
I realise I shouldn't have even said anything because you basically just asked me to aid your own argument. But...
I wanted to see if you would fall for it.
Is is there
I
a
did.
is there a solution to that? Like, is there an answer
Would you like-
to that objection?
Would you like me to rebut his last statement, Jake?
Okay.
Yeah, what my opponent said is absolutely true. The light band is totally freaky, in fact, bizarre, and indicative of the fact that it was entirely
Right, time. Enough of that rubbish. Right. Anyway, Adam, your 20-second closing statement begins now.
Okay, in this last 20 seconds, I'm going to do my best to sum up my argument. The duplicate backdrop. Okay, that's the first evidence. The lack of stars, even in high definition photos, even with photos that will be able to pick up enough light to pick up stars, there are no stars. Clearly something's going on in here. Okay, we have another problem
Time.
with.
Okay.
Begin.
Right. Okay. When Adam talks about the lack of stars, because it's in high definition, I feel like a misunderstanding of the way photography works. And I don't think Adam's actually represented his own argument very well. In fact, I've represented his own argument for him mostly. So, I just don't think that's a strong argument.
Right. This is actually a tough one because I was actually really thinking Ollie did a great job until that last
The last hurdle.
the bit where you managed to trick him into arguing your own point up until the clock went down. That was a pretty good tactic right there.
Thank you very much. It's called the Adam. Just the Adam.
Just the Adam, right? I don't know. I'll have to give that one to Ollie.
Ah!
He stuck to it pretty well until that last bit. But other
Can
than
I,
that,
uh,
yeah.
Can I clarify, Ollie?
Hmm.
Do you actually believe the moon landing was false?
No.
Because you
Why?
sounded like you really, really did believe it was
I
false.
know. When I was younger, I used to enjoy learning about like different conspiracy theories. I think it's really clever the way people come up with like a lot of these conspiracy theories.
Yeah.
But have you actually seen like all the pictures of the moon that look like they've been airbrushed and stuff like that as well?
Hmm.
Like the NASA released pictures of the moon, and you can see they've been airbrushed in places. And like the airbrushing is actually like bits that have airbrushed look like shapes, like squares and rectangles.
Really?
Yeah, looks like there could be like a compound of buildings underneath them, sort of thing. Really weird.
I mean, I've got to be honest. I literally have no. I
Do
mean,
you
I
make
can
up
see.
the backdrop thing?
No. I know that's an argument.
That's the thing. Oh,
Like, I know the most famous one is Apollo 15 and Apollo 11. There are two pictures from those missions, and yet the mountain ranges are exactly the same.
hmm. There's a really crazy one where on the original mission the cameras that they used had crosshairs in them,
Yeah.
and where the crosshair intersected with the really brilliant white spacesuit, it actually looked like the crosshair was going behind the spacesuit.
Hmm.
Hmm.
That's quite weird, actually.
Really strange. But the argument against that is that the way the photography worked back then when it was done basically meant that because you've got everything's grey and then you've got a really super white spacesuit, the crosshair just bleeds out. Like the white just bleeds into where the crosshair is, and it looks like it's sort of going behind the spacesuit.
That is
This-
legit, actually. That's why there's like you get TV yellow, which was like it's TV yellow because it shows up as being bright white.
Yeah.
On like old TV.
Yeah.
But like when you look at it now with a normal, like a good camera, it's just like a really strange off yellow color.
Hmm.
Because
The other
actual
one-
white does that.
Yeah, the other thing is what is it? Oh yeah, the stars thing. Like, I get low camera. Like, basically, the only way you can take a picture of the stars is if your camera can take in enough light that it would hit the what it's called now. Hit the sensor. That's it.
Yeah.
And I have no idea what cameras used on the moon. I have no idea. But it is a bit suspicious that they didn't pick up any stars. Do you know what I mean?
I don't think they would.
Do you think the cameras would be that bad?
It's not a matter of bad. It's the technique of photography. You don't want to pick up the stars, so you're looking at a limited focal distance. You're going to have a fairly quick shutter speed because of the amount of light. You're not going to be wanting a lot of light to come in, and then your actual focal point of the picture that's close to you is really going to be fairly overexposed for your short shutter speed. So you're going to be limiting the amount of light in because of the overexposure of the big white spacesuit and the white rocks everywhere. And then so that's going to stop your small amount of light coming in because of all the stars, from all the stars.
I'm
That
not
makes sense.
I'm not talking about just on the moon. I'm talking about any pictures of space. Usually stars are always photoshopped. Unless it's like nebulas and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean?
It's because they don't do long exposures. You're only going to pick stars up if it's a long exposure.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So
It's not. It's.
But
it's
you're
just-
saying it's too bright on the moon, so they wouldn't do it. I guess. Otherwise, it would just be unrecognizable.
Yeah, I mean the actual thing that they're photographing would just be way too overexposed if they did it in such a way that you're going to be able to see the stars.
Yeah.
Just to clarify, Adam, do you think the moon landing was faked?
No.
All right, okay.
The brutal truth of it is, Jake, I really don't care. I
Yeah.
don't care that we landed on the moon. It means nothing to me. Even it's kind of back to this Nabil thing. You could say, "Oh, it's a momentous scientific achievement." So what? Who cares? So what? You know what I mean? At the end of the day, you can't take it with you. At the end of the day, the only thing that matters in this life is Jesus or nothing. And it's like this is what Thingy said as well. Not Ken Ham, but the other guy, Bill Nye. Ken Ham kept saying to Bill Nye, "If you die at the end and that's that, then what is the point? What is the point of trying hard?" And Ken Ham and Bill Nye kept saying, "Well, you'd have children, they'd have children," and then he was like, "Yeah, but what is the point? What is the point in all of this?" And you can't make a point. And the moon landing is the same thing. What is the point of trying to scientifically achieve something? Specifically to do with distance. I understand medical stuff like that, but what is the point of trying to scientifically prove you can put somebody in the moon? I just can't appreciate it whatsoever. I think it's a waste of time and a waste of money.
Well, all right. I think that concludes the alternative review episode 9.
Yeah.
Excellent, eh?
Derp of the week goes to NASA.
All right.
For faking the moon landing.
Yeah.
Either that or actually trying to put someone on the moon in the first place. A lose-lose situation, NASA. We've got you.
All right. I think that's it. I don't know how to end it.
Laters, people.
Yeah. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
Catch you later, friend.